If I had only 1 minute to speak to the entire world, I would say, a lot can happen in a year. It sounds like a simple, almost obvious phrase, but think about it. How many times have you stopped to reflect on the transformative power that 365 days can have in your life? A year may seem like a long time when we look to the future, but in practice, it passes in the blink of an eye. And the big question is, how are you using that time? Because whether you like it or not, your life will be different a year from now. The real question is, will it be better, worse, or exactly the same? And even more importantly, who will be responsible for that change? Spoiler, the answer is you. Imagine for a moment that the you of today could meet the you of a year from now. What would you want to hear? That you finally started that project you've always postponed? That you overcame the fears that paralyzed you? Or that you stayed exactly in the same place, stuck in the same excuses, the same habits, and the same limitations? The truth is, time doesn't stop, and it doesn't wait for anyone. Each passing day is an opportunity to build something new, to plant the seeds that will bloom in the future. But to do that, you need to make a decision, and that decision starts now. This video isn't about empty promises or magic formulas. It's not about waiting for something external to happen to change your life. It's about understanding that the transformation you desire begins within you. It's about taking control of your story and realizing that even if the world around you seems chaotic, you still have the power to choose how you will react, how you will act, and most importantly, how you will grow. So if you're here watching this video, it's because in some way you feel it's time to do something different. And I'm here to remind you, a lot can happen in a year. The only question you need to answer is, what will you do with that time? And here lies the great crossroads we all face, consciously or unconsciously, at some point in life. The two options that define the course of everything. The first option is to remain in the comfort zone. It's that place where everything is safe, predictable, and familiar, where you know exactly what to expect, even if deep down it doesn't make you happy. It's the job you don't like, but that pays the bills. It's the relationship that doesn't fulfill you, but seems easier than facing loneliness. It's the routine that keeps you busy, but takes you nowhere. The comfort zone is seductive because it gives us the illusion of control. But in reality, it's an invisible prison where the fear of failure, of taking risks, or of facing the unknown keeps us stagnant. The second option, on the other hand, is to choose change. And let's be honest, change isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, challenging, and often scary. It's like standing before a leap into the dark with no guarantees it will work out. But it's precisely in that discomfort that growth happens. It's when you decide to step out of the bubble of what's familiar and expose yourself to the new that you discover what you're truly capable of. Choosing change means letting go of absolute control and embracing uncertainty. It means accepting that the path may be difficult, but the destination is worth it. Because it's in change that you find the strongest, bravest, and most fulfilled version of yourself. Now, stop and reflect for a moment. If you're watching this video, maybe it's because for a long time you've chosen the first option. Maybe you've settled into the comfort zone, waiting for something or someone to come and rescue you. Maybe you've convinced yourself that things are good enough and that it's not worth shaking up what's working, even though deep down, you know you could be so much more. And that's okay. We've all been there. But the good news is that at any moment, you can decide to change. You can choose the second option. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. It will require effort, patience, and above all, courage. But if you want your life to be different a year from now, this is the only choice that truly matters. So, what will your decision be? Will you stay where you are, stuck in what is safe and familiar, or take the first step into the unknown, knowing that it is there where your true potential is waiting for you? The choice is yours, and deep down, you already know the answer. And here's a truth that might be hard to hear, but needs to be said. No self-help book, no inspiring podcast, no motivational quote you save on your phone will, by itself, transform your life. It doesn't matter how many times you read phrases like "believe in yourself" or "you are capable of anything." It doesn't matter how many motivational videos you watch or how many success talks you attend. All of that can be inspiring, it can spark something inside you, but at the end of the day, none of it will do the work for you. Because the change you desire doesn't happen while you're just consuming content about change. It happens when you decide to act. And this is where many people get lost. They believe in the illusion of passive change. They think that by absorbing knowledge, by surrounding themselves with positive messages, something magical will happen. That suddenly, motivation will knock on the door and everything will fall into place. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It's like a match. It lights up quickly but burns out just as fast. What truly makes a difference is not how inspired you feel, but how willing you are to act, even when the inspiration isn't there. Because in the end, change isn't about what you feel, it's about what you do. And acting doesn't mean waiting for the perfect moment, because it will never come. It doesn't mean having all the answers or knowing exactly what to do. Acting means starting, even if it's with small steps, even if you're not yet sure where it will lead. It means stepping out of the role of a spectator in your own life and taking on the role of the protagonist. Because as long as you're just watching, nothing will change. You could spend years consuming content about how to improve your life, but if you don't put anything into practice, a year from now, you'll be in exactly the same place. So ask yourself, are you truly committed to change, or are you just entertained by the idea of it? Because there's a big difference between the two. Commitment requires action. It requires you to get up, step out of your comfort zone, face challenges, and keep going, even when it's hard. And yes, it will be hard. But that's exactly what makes the journey so transformative. Because every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward the life you want. And in the end, that's what matters. So, if you're waiting for a sign, here it is. Stop waiting. Stop consuming change as if it were entertainment and start living it. Because no one is going to do it for you. The change you want to see in your life begins with a decision, and that decision is yours. So, what will you do from now on? Now that you understand that change requires action, let's talk about how. That action can be simpler and more powerful than you might imagine. There's an idea that can completely transform the way you view progress, the power of 1%. Yes, just 1%. It seems insignificant, doesn't it? But here's the magic. If you commit to improving just 1% each day, by the end of a year, you won't just be 365% better. You'll be 37 times better. That's right, 37 times. This is the math of continuous improvement. Small daily advances, compounded over time, create extraordinary results. And the best part? This is something anyone can do, no matter where they're starting from. The problem is that we're often seduced by the idea of instant, dramatic changes. We want quick results, radical transformations, and we end up frustrated when we realize that this isn't sustainable. It's like trying to run a marathon without ever having trained before. You might start with enthusiasm, but soon, exhaustion and lack of preparation will bring you down. And that's where many people give up. They look at the final goal, at the 100%, and feel overwhelmed. They think, it's too much, I'll never make it. But the secret isn't in focusing on the 100%, it's in focusing on the 1%. Because it's today's 1% added to tomorrow's 1% and so on, that will get you there. And this is where the importance of consistency comes in. It's not about doing something grand every now and then. It's about doing something small but meaningful every single day. Think of it as planting a seed. You don't see the tree grow overnight, but if you water the seed daily, it will eventually become a strong and robust tree. The same applies to your life. Every small step you take, every positive habit you build, is like watering that seed. It may seem like nothing is happening at first, but over time, the results begin to appear. And when they do, they are far greater than you imagined. On the other hand, the most common mistake people make is trying to do everything at once. They want to completely change their lives in a single day, and when they can't, they feel defeated. But the truth is that change is not an event. It's a process, and processes take time. That's why the strategy for success isn't about making big, sporadic leaps, but about taking small, consistent steps. It's about asking yourself every day, what can I do today to be 1% better than yesterday? It could be something simple, like reading one page of a book, taking a 10-minute walk, or spending 5 minutes planning your day. What matters isn't the size of the action, but the fact that you're moving in the right direction. So stop worrying about the 100%. Stop comparing yourself to others or beating yourself up for not being where you want to be. Instead, focus on the 1%, because that's how true transformation happens. One small step at a time, every day. And when you look back a year from now, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. After all, change isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day and never stopping. So, what will your 1% be today? And now, we've reached the most important moment of this entire journey, the first step. Because no matter how much you understand the power of 1%, no matter how much you know that consistency is the key, none of it matters if you don't start. And this is where many people get stuck. They wait for the perfect moment, the ideal, motivation, or a clear sign that they're ready. But the truth is, the perfect moment never comes. Motivation is fleeting, and the feeling of being ready is an illusion. What truly matters is the decision to start, even if you don't have all the answers yet, even if the path seems uncertain. Because the first step is what transforms intention into action, dream into reality. Starting to work on your dreams today, right now, is an act of courage. It's a commitment you make to yourself that you will no longer postpone the life you want to live. And yes, the first step can be scary. It might seem too small to make a difference or too big to achieve. But what matters isn't the size of the step. It's the fact that it gets you moving, because once you start, something magical happens. Movement creates more movement. The inertia that kept you stuck begins to fade, and suddenly, what seemed impossible starts to feel achievable. And here's a secret that few people understand. The first step doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be taken. Maybe you don't know exactly where to start, and that's okay. Choose something, anything, that brings you closer to your goal, and do it today. It could be a simple action, like writing down your goals on paper, making an important phone call, or dedicating 10 minutes to learning something new. What matters is that you start. Because once you take the first step, the second becomes easier, and before you know it, you'll be walking toward your dreams. But starting isn't enough. You need to keep showing up for yourself every day. You need to renew that commitment daily, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Because that's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up halfway. It's not talent, luck, or favorable circumstances. It's the ability to keep going, to persist, to get back up every time you fall. And that starts with the decision to show up for yourself day after day, without excuses, without delays. Now, I want you to do a simple but powerful exercise. Turn everything off around you for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and imagine the future you desire. Imagine what your life would look like a year from now if you started today. How would you feel? What would you have accomplished? Who would you be? Allow yourself to dream, but more importantly, allow yourself to believe that it's possible, because it is. Everything you just imagined can become a reality, but only if you're willing to act. And when those 5 minutes are over, do something. Anything. It doesn't matter how small it seems, but start now. Don't wait until tomorrow, until Monday, or until next month. Because every day you delay is one less day to build the life you want. Start now and never look back. The first step is the hardest, but it's also the most transformative. And once you take it, there are no limits to where you can go. So, what are you waiting for? The future you desire begins with what you do today. Take the first step and see how your life can change. And now, we've reached the end of this video, but more importantly, the beginning of something new for you. Because if there is one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. It's never too late to change. It doesn't matter where you are right now, how many times you've failed, or how many opportunities you've let slip by. The past does not define what's to come. You may not have the power to change the beginning of your story, but you absolutely have the power to change the ending. And that change begins with the decisions you make today, with the steps you choose to take from now on. Remember, a lot can happen in a year. A year may seem like a long time, but it passes in the blink of an eye, and when you look back, you'll realize that what truly made the difference weren't the big moments, but the small steps you took every day. It's the daily commitment to be 1% better, to show up for yourself, to keep going, even when it's hard. That's what turns dreams into reality, ideas into achievements, and desires into a life worth living. So, now, I want to hear from you. What are your goals for the next year? What will you do to improve 1% each day? Share in the comments, not just to commit to yourself, but also to inspire others who are watching this video. Because when we share our journeys, we create a network of support, motivation, and learning that helps us go even further. And if this video inspired you in any way, if it made you reflect or gave you that little push you needed, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This not only helps me continue creating content like this, but also ensures you won't miss any upcoming videos that can help you transform your life. And of course, share this video with someone you know who needs to hear this message. Sometimes all a person needs is a reminder that they are capable of so much more than they imagine. So, here's my final message for you. Believe it, a lot can happen in a year. But it all starts with a decision. The decision to start, to keep going, and to never give up on yourself. The future is in your hands, and it starts now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.